How many of you get angry from time to time? I've never gotten angry about anything, but I am a chronic liar. Now ask yourselves, since you've acknowledged that you are given to anger from time to time, do you get angry about the right things? Do you get angry about the right things? Oftentimes, we get angry about things that don't really matter, or not that important. I saw somebody make a scene in a restaurant one time because the waitress brought the wrong food. He was all ticked off. So silly. If I do get angry, it's over something silly like the computer not responding quickly enough. I'm writing a homily, doing something, it kind of has to catch up with me. I get very, very irritated and frustrated. We all get angry in traffic, don't we? Children get angry because they feel that they don't get their way. Married couples grow angry with each other over a variety of things. But the real question is, do we get angry about the right things? Let's face it. How many of us get angry if you read a story or hear a story in the news about innocent people who are killed by a bomb blast in another country far away? You get as angry about that as you do when your car won't start in the morning? How many of you feel angry when you hear about a truckload of illegal aliens being abandoned and the people left to die inside from an overheated truck? Does that really make you angry? As if you get angry if you burned a meal? Do you get angry when a family is evicted from their home because they can't pay the rent? Do you get angry when a person is mistreated or hurt because he or she is black or Hispanic or Asian? Do you get angry about the right things? It's interesting to read in today's gospel that Jesus became angry. We usually don't think about Jesus as being angry, but I think he got angry on lots of occasions. But he was always angry about the right thing. In the gospel, we hear how he went to the temple in Jerusalem, and because it was Passover, there were lots of activity going on. He saw the money changers changing people's Roman coinage to Jewish coinage. That's the only way they could buy an animal in the temple area, with kosher coins, so to speak. But he knew that the money changers were charging an exorbitant fee to do that. He saw people selling animals, gouging their customers, because after all, they were required to make a sacrifice. And he saw the religious leaders condoning all of this, making the temple a marketplace. In another gospel, he calls them a den of thieves. Instead of preserving the temple as a house of prayer and worship, they make it into a marketplace where people are taking advantage of each other. We might find it hard to realize or appreciate why Jesus got so angry, so much so that he would resort to some violent actions. But think about it this way. Let's say, I said to myself, our church building isn't doing a lot of business these days. So I'll set up a casino and a bar and a strip joint, okay? How would you feel about that? So Jesus responds, and boy is he angry. He makes a cord or a whip, and he comes out swinging. He drives out the animals, turns over the tables of the money changers. From his heart, his righteous anger spills over. He acts against a temple which he believes has become corrupted. He got angry for a good reason. He saw injustice at work in the place that should have been a place of integrity and worship and prayer and holiness. So from his heart, he acts out against that injustice, even to the point of driving people away physically. And when he's confronted for doing this, he says to them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up. The people thought he was threatening to bring down the building. But we're told that he was referring to the temple of his body, which would be destroyed and then raised in 3 days. Some people say maybe his anger came from the fact that he knew what these people were going to do to him. So this familiar story leads us to a question. What are the right things to get angry about? Well, I think that to be angry means that whatever breaks God's heart breaks our hearts as well. And what breaks God's heart is when people mistreat each other, when people fail to act with love and respect and integrity, respect for God, respect for their neighbor. The guidelines for treating other people with love and respect can be found in part in the 10 Commandments, which we heard in today's first reading. We are reminded of those divine laws that govern our relationship with God and with our neighbor. The 10 Commandments were given to the Israelites and are given to us to help preserve the dignity of the human person and people's relationships with God and each other. The first 3 commandments help define our relationship with God. They prohibit certain behaviors which are offensive and disrespectful. We're told, don't give your worship or adulation to anybody else. Only God is worthy of our worship and praise. To place other people above God is offensive. Offensive to the Creator, who deserves our respect and honor. Sometimes people have misguided loyalty. They place absolute trust in other human beings rather than in God. The second commandment prohibits us from using God's name in a denigrating or foul way. This denies God the honor and respect he deserves. The third commandment tells us, honor the Sabbath day, the day set aside to worship God and to worship with our brothers and sisters. To simply brush it off is offensive to God and neighbor. The 7 remaining commandments set boundaries for behaviors that can hurt the dignity and value of other people. Honor your parents. Do not kill. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not lie. Do not covet. Don't yearn after your neighbor's possessions or loved ones. As I said earlier, we tend to grow angry over things that are not really important. But we'll sometimes get angry with other people who we feel have violated principles, violated the commandments. We're quick to judge. When one of the commandments is deliberately broken by other people, we may take offense, and that may cause us anger. But then again, how often do we grow angry with ourselves when we choose to break one or more of the commandments? So often we give ourselves a pass for violating divine law, a law that's given to us by God. You may get angry with someone who you know has broken into a business or committed armed robbery or stolen from you, maybe. It makes you angry. But do you get angry with yourself when your business overcharges customers? Or when you gamble too much money away? You waste money on unnecessary things. Or if you refuse to give to the poor. Shouldn't that make you angry? Maybe you get angry when your child disrespects you. But do you grow angry with yourself if you fail to honor your own parents? When you refuse to talk to them? or visit them, when you fail to care for them in your need, shouldn't you be angry with yourself about that? You probably will become angry if you read about somebody killing another person. Just read the paper here every day. Makes us angry. But do you grow angry when you yourself kill another person's reputation through gossip? If you criticize people unjustly behind their backs? Should you not be angry with yourself for going along with some government policies that disrespect human life? And you may be angry when you read a story, as we did, about young people being trafficked for sex right here in Bakersfield. But do you get angry with yourself for being promiscuous, or fascinated with pornography, or lustful in your own thoughts? Should we not be angry with ourselves? So again, the point is, do you get angry about the right things? And isn't it true that the right thing to get angry with are those things that we ourselves might be guilty of? Now, even though anger is justified in certain cases, we should be careful not to let that anger turn to violence, especially against other people. Some people think Jesus went too far by making a whip and using it against people. But we're not told that he injured anybody. Maybe their egos, maybe their pride. You might want to think about it as a bit of high drama to make a point. But the angry response of Jesus was the right response to injustice. He saw a system that was hurting people. He was angry when he saw people being mistreated and judged in an unjust way. And anger is the right response when we see injustices perpetrated against other people, or when we ourselves fail to act in a way that respects God and neighbor. You know, ultimately, Jesus' death on the cross was the greatest injustice perpetrated against anybody in their innocence. Can you imagine what would have happened if God had become angry with those who killed his son? Yet God did not become angry. He took compassion on his son, the victim, and he raised him up. The motive for God allowing such a tragedy was love. Even with all the injustices in our world, God still loves us. So what that tells us is that while anger is an appropriate emotion in some cases, we should direct it in the right way. It's permissible, it's justified to be angry with the injustices of our world, as well as with our own failure to live up to the commandments. Let's use that anger to correct what is wrong, to make the changes necessary, to make things right with God and our neighbor. We can all begin with ourselves this Lent.